All right, let's take a look at the rankings. Goddard, Knapp, Scheffler, Nikolai, Minwoo, Adam Scott, Kurt Kitayama, Theegala, Brooks, Pierce, and Cootie. That's the top 10, which falls completely in line with exactly with what we looked at throughout the course of the show. We were on Goddard, Nikolai, Yella Miraju, Cootie, and Kitayama were kind of the big five that popped up outside of the Scotty Scheffler tier. Obviously, Minwoo was the winner last year. Going down past that, Fox, Gerard, Rogers, Keith Mitchell, Wyndham Clark was another one that we looked at. Pendrith was another one that we looked at and dug into their stats a little bit. Thorbjornsen's there. Adrian Dumont-Chassel pops up on the list again. Yella Miraju is number 34, and a lot of that, frankly, is just due to lack of rounds. I'm surprised Celinda didn't make this list any higher. Obviously, you can jump around, hit the time codes, and go to the in-depth player research. He comes in 76th on this list. I still like Celinda a lot, having a pretty good week at the Valspar as well. Good run in this tournament a year ago. But again, if we're sorting by ball speed, which we want to do this week, at least I hope we want to do this week, because that's what I'm looking at a lot, Potgieter would be the other one that you want to go look at and just hope it's one of those weeks where the rest of his game kind of shows up along with the driver, and obviously Marco Penge. Hopefully he gets buried in a lot of optimizers and everything, because he is someone that you're going to want to use and bet at the Houston Open.
At Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience Houston Open Research Picks, the first look breaking down the field. If you want to jump around to the different parts like building the model, what this course is all about, the field, always hit the time codes for that. Smash like and sub to the channel. And I want to know from you, I'm starting to build out my Masters content for the week. I have the shows that are most definitely going to be there, but I started off the Players Championship with the player-by-player preview. I want to know, is that something you guys liked, or if there's a different version of that show, or just a completely different show about Augusta National, about the Masters that you guys would like to see, because I'm completely open to it. I love doing Masters content, and something new and fresh that simply I have not thought of would be very helpful if you guys have any ideas. So dump those down in the comment section. Give me your early winner for Houston as well, because it's a pretty stacked field. Well, we're looking here. Scotty returns as he does every single year. He's been runner-up each of the past 2 seasons. He made quite a charge at Minwoo Lee last year. Minwoo is back as well. Ben Griffin, the Højgaards, Kurt Kitayama, Sam Burns, Knapp is back, Goddard, Shane Lowry, Fowler, Thorbjornsen, Day, Pendrith, Ryan Gerard, Adam Scott, Pierce, and Cootie. Like Cootie this week. I like Cootie every week, in fairness. Sahith Theegala, Wyndham Clark, and Brooks Koepka, the guy that helped actually redesign this course. Brooks made a run on Saturday at Valspar. It was looking like the Red Sea was parting for Brooks. He got it to 7 under on the front 9. Sung Jae wasn't playing poorly out of the gates, but he wasn't pulling away from anyone. And then on the back 9, he made a horrible drive. Like 2 horrible drives really sunk him on the back, but he lipped out 2 birdie putts and left another one like hanging on the edge. He even gave it the 20-second wait and it wouldn't fall. Just 3 of those little 1 millimeter to the left or right, and it could have been looking a lot different for Brooks. It's not over by the time I'm doing this. Maybe he shot 9 under today and ended up winning. I'm not counting on that. My best look right now with Sung Jae in the lead, and what this leaderboard looks like with Chandler Blanchet and David Lipsky. Miss Lippy up there. Good to see Miss Lippy putting the cream on her face, putting the glue on her face, rising to the top of leaderboards at Innisbrook. But AJ Ewart, beating Corey Connors as low Canadian for 16-1 is like my best look going into Sunday. So back-to-back bad weeks for me. Hopefully it comes through for Jeff and he can have back-to-back good weeks and the show continues to propel itself forward. But I can't imagine anyone is looking at this leaderboard being like, man, I'm winning all the money this week. Unless you just jumped on Sung Jae, did not see that one coming. I know that Buckle and I discussed him, whether or not he could have that rebound. It just didn't seem like it would happen this quickly. And really, outside of the first day, when he hit everything close and made every single putt when he didn't hit it close, he's having a pretty average week. That one round, you need that one low round at Valspar every single year if you're going to separate from the leaderboard, and that's what he's been doing so far. Will Zalatoris is back in the field in Houston this week. It is his first tournament start technically since the Farmers at the end of January. If you remember, he hasn't been in the signature events. He didn't qualify for the Players, and obviously he took a week off for Valspar. He was in the Cognizant, but withdrew before his tee time, thus leaving everyone in the lurch who used him on DraftKings that wasn't able to swap him out because it happened after the first tee shot of the tournament had been hit. That it doesn't seem like it's been almost 6 weeks, 7 weeks since we've seen Zalatoris, but here he is. He's back at this course, which is a municipal course, the Memorial Park Golf Club in Houston. One of my favorite courses of the year. It's really fun. And last year was really different. And we'll get to that in a minute, but the scoring was really low last year. Minwoo won at 21 under, 20 under. We'll look at it when we jump over the rabbit hole in a second. But a lot of birdies, a lot of guys making big runs. And the years previous to that, outside of a minus 16 win for Tony Finau, that it's been a very challenging course. Now, the field has not been as close to as good as it was last year. Rory and Scotty both played last year. And this year, again, it's really, really strong. Guys are using this as a tune-up for Augusta. Obviously, we're going to see that in 2 weeks, but I just thought it was surprising. Now, I don't know. I went back and I looked at the wind. The wind was below 18 miles per hour the entire week. Maybe they finally developed the proper strategy at this course, which is hit it wherever you want off the tee, especially after 2004, because there was back-to-back storms in Houston. One was a windstorm that knocked down a bunch of trees, then a hurricane came through and knocked down like 100 others. There's just not a lot of penalty for missing the fairway, unless they have decided to grow the rough up, which I doubt they've done with it being a municipal course. At this point in time, you can play for $40 most of the year. That I doubt you were going to see like 4-inch rough. Like last year, it was super short rough. Guys were just bombing it over. As long as you didn't hit into the water off the tee, you could play from anywhere, and it really wasn't that big of a deal. Hence, we saw 5 of the top 7 on the top of the leaderboard rank inside the top in ball speed for the week. So we'll see if that continues to persist. That's what I'm pushing my chips into the middle on this week, is guys that absolutely annihilate it ball speed wise off the tee. I'm just praying Marco Penge just has like a really shit putting day at Valspar, because the entire year I've wanted to bet him at this event. He's played like crap the entire year. He's been 100-1. And all of a sudden, the week before I want to go bet him at triple digits, he starts having a good week. And all of a sudden, he's going to be like 50-1 or 40-1. I'm going to be like, I don't want to bet Marco Penge. And then Marco Penge is going to somehow end up winning this event. But if we can get him at like 80-1 plus, that's where my first look for the week is going to be. Mr. Ball Speed himself, Marco Penge. And he's finally starting to roll a hot putter. You'd think that this course has been around now on tour for 5 years, and no one has produced a really good flyover. So let's jump over to the course and take a look at this computer simulation of Memorial Park. It is one of the longer courses on tour, 7,475 yards. That's up 30 yards from a year ago. Only a par 70, though. Poa Travalis overseed on the greens, 21 bunkers, 4 holes with water in play, and 7,000 square foot average green size. 5 of the top 6 finishers in 2004 gained on proximity from 150 to 175. And you saw last year, 8 of the top 9 finishers gained on proximity from 200 plus. It is a long course. Guys are going to be hitting it as aggressively as they can off the tee just to make sure they get in there and try to not have the super long proximity range. 41 feet on average was the 6th longest in tour in terms of the proximity range where people were leaving it after coming in. When you see so many shots from beyond 175 yards, that's really it's going to be the biggest issue. The overseed now provides a much tighter playing surface than the Bermuda grass did when this event had been held in the swing season, when it used to be in November. This will highlight the penal green that surrounds, while shorter rough gives the opportunity for aggressive approach shots. We even saw aggressive chips from even like the very short rough that's around. There's like the runoff areas, which are tightly mown, and we'll get to that when we jump to the rabbit hole. You'll see, I believe it's like 65% of around the green shots are off tightly mown areas, not the rough this week. But dudes were spinning it out of the rough. I watched Keith Mitchell, especially on 17, which is a drivable par 4, and it was moved 30 yards further back, and 2 of the bunkers were added to the left for 2024 on number 17. It's still drivable. You just got to be willing to take on the water. If you're Alejandro Tosti, then you're going to be fine and just pin seek on 17. That is his hole. We'll see how that ends up this year. He did make the cut at Valspar this time around, but very rarely do you see guys hit it into the rough and are able to still control the spin out of it, which is something you can do or have been able to do at this course. Despite the 30 to 40 yard wide fairways, guys don't even worry about that. They give themselves the best angle and try to hit it as far as possible down there. Essentially what you want at this course is maximum ball speed, pretty good approach play, pretty good around the green play, and pretty good putting. Like if you're just a bomber who does everything else kind of well, you're going to be in good position here. But you do need to be scoring in all 3 facets of tee to green, because you can chip your way out of these tournaments. They're really weird. green surfaces. They're really elevated, and again, with those shaved surfaces, you have to play a lot of different creative shots from around the green. Some guys are going to putt it, other guys are going to use their nifty around the green game, but you need to have a lot of good vision for that. Maybe Thigala is someone to go back to this week after a horrible Valspar, but he can drive it wherever he wants here, and he does have that magic touch around the greens. He sees things that open up for him. Like I spoke about before, the 2024 May windstorm, what do I have written down here? Per meteorological terms, it is a derecho. Some high windstorm. Damaged more than 100 trees. Then Hurricane Beryl came in July. It dropped 13 inches of rain and damaged 100 more trees, and this led to the lowest scoring ever. So I guess if there's not trees in your way, you're going to be fine. It's the third longest course played on tour so far this season, and it's only a par 70. Tom Doak did a complete renovation of the course in 2019. Started in January. The course reopened in November. Brooks Koepka did assist on that. The renovation and redesign brought ravines and water into play and reduced the number of bunkers to 54 to 19, and 3 of those bunkers are surrounding the 18th green. There's a ton of runoff areas, a ton of false fronts, and many elevated greens as well. There are 5 par 4s of 490 yards or longer. They all play over par and are 5 of the toughest 6 holes on the course. And we'll see that right now when we jump over to the rabbit hole to dig into what else is going on. You see low water danger. You can always find all of this in the course info. It's big driver heavy, unlike last week where it was very mixed off the tee. We saw that was another shot. You wish I could get back from Brooks. I think it was on number 3 on Friday, or number 2 on Friday, or number 3 on Friday. He's like, I'm going to be a smart man here. I'm not going to challenge the water. I'm going to hit a 4-iron off the tee. Everything's going to be great. And he just sliced it into the water, which is a really horrible shot. You just know it was almost like Lowry's shot on, 16 at PGA National. Like, what is happening here? Like, you took this club to club down and just sliced it off to the right into the water. And then he had to drop so far back. It was just a horrendous decision. Scrambling from the short grass, very difficult here. You're actually better off being in the rough if you want to scramble because you can get some more club underneath the ball. You can still control the spin from this type of rough. But around the green is very difficult here. You need to be good around the green. I was giving Ryan Gerard a very heavy look, and I was like, you know what? He made a bit of a run here last year, and then he petered off because he just didn't have the short game to keep it going. That was one of the reasons I got drawn to Minwoo a year ago. It was like, he's so good around the greens. He's so good putting. Obviously has one of the better ball speeds. Can he just hit his approaches reasonably and you're going to be fine? I wouldn't even really look too much into how guys have performed off the tee at this course in the past in terms of strokes gained, because I don't think it tells the whole story. I think this is one of the places where you will see that sometimes I talk about this a little bit about sometimes strokes gained doesn't tell the entire story. What guys are attempting to do off the tee in Houston is not going to line up with off the tee. Like, they would much rather be 50 yards into the rough on the left-hand side if they're closer to the hole with a better angle than sitting like 210 in the middle of the fairway, which will give you a better strokes gained off the tee number. So that's not one thing to go back and listen. You want to be gaining off the tee. It's very helpful. And Minwoo did lose a ton on the par 5 on Sunday when he drove it into the water to tighten it up just a little bit, but you can see everyone kind of got there. Woodland was bad around the greens, but he more than made up for it for putting. But everyone else, just very green across the board. You do want your approaches spiking, but if anything can spike for you, you're going to be doing pretty well here. Taylor Pendrith is probably someone to look at coming off another bad week at the Valspar, but a pretty decent week at the Players where he just couldn't get everything running all at once, but he was T5 a year ago. There's Gerard in 9th by himself. You do see some of the shorter hitters. Hell, we saw that. I mean, Jaeger's not slow in ball speed by any means, but in 2024, it was more outside of Finau, Dietrich, Scheffler, Toasty. I mean, these guys whack it off the tee. Very high ball speeds. Even Jaeger is still above average in that regard as well. But, I mean, he was all chipping and putting for the week. If Finau had just made a putt throughout the course of the week, he ends up winning. If Scheffler doesn't miss a 3-foot putt on the last hole to lose by a stroke, he probably ends up beating Steven Jaeger in a playoff. But again, you see short game was all up there for a lot of these guys. And some of them are shorter hitters, some of them are longer hitters. But when we look at the very top of the leaderboard, again, it just comes back to ball speed for me. So the around the green play, which I talked about, I see the scrambling percentage is a bit higher at this course. The 5-year average is a bit lower. It was a bit higher a year ago. Maybe, again, that has to do with a higher quality of field. Maybe it has to do with fewer trees around the course. But this was the interesting part here. So scrambling from the rough is one thing. Around the greens, you can see how these are all taken out and separated in the around the green by shot, if that's what you're looking at. That's what we are looking at right now. So around the green shot percentage from short grass, like shaved off areas, 64% up to 67% a year ago. From the sand, only 12% at this course because there are only 19 bunkers surrounding the course. And then you have the around the green shots from the rough, around 23%. So, a vast majority are coming from these shaved off surfaces. That's something we can dig into on the rabbit hole a little bit later on if that's what we want to look at. This is one of the better courses if you're playing Showdown to start guys starting on hole number 1 versus starting on hole number 10. You can see hole number 18 is the 4th toughest and hole number 1 is the 2nd toughest. 5% birdie rate for number 1. 9% birdie rate for number 18. It's going to be tough to get yourself a birdie streak swinging around that side. Pardon me. On the other side, though, you can go 7, 8, 9, potentially 12, 35, and 14. But here's where it really works. If you can go 8, 9, 10, 9 is a par 3, 202 yards, but almost a 15% birdie rate. Not that difficult of a hole. Number 8 is the second easiest hole on the course. It's a par 5, 625 yards. Very few eagles on that hole, but a 35% birdie rate. And then number 10 is one of the shorter par 4s. It plays under par, a 16% birdie rate. So your best chance, not to say that it's super likely, because obviously if you add up those percentages, it's not going to be super likely in terms of probability. But if there is going to be a birdie streak made on one of the swings, it is this one, most definitely not the 16 or 17, 18, 1 swing is not happening. It's a really fun addition of closing holes too. You have this very difficult par 3, number 11. Only has a 6% birdie rate, as a 20% bogey rate. And then you get into number 13, which is one of the shorter par 4s, pretty easy. You have the drivable 17th. Although it's drivable, I know it says it's 382 yards. It is, and some days it's not drivable. You'll have to lay up. But usually on Sunday and Saturday, they do it. Saturday, most definitely, they let guys take a rip at this one. But you still have to clear the water and get your driver 3-wood to hold on that green. 16% birdie rate, 13% bogey rate, just a lot of pars on this hole. If you're very good around the greens, that's when it leads to a lot of birdies coming in here. And then you have number 16, the par 5. You can make eagle on it. Not a ton of eagles. It's a really long eagle putt if you do manage to get it on in 2, usually in that 35 to 45 foot range. Because on the days where it is reachable, they usually tuck the pin in the back right corner, which either you have to fly the green to go attack it. Most guys do not want to do that. So they just hit it to the center of the green, 2-putt, 31% birdie rate. But you can see number 14, the hardest hole on the course, 529-yard par 4, 18, 10% birdie rate, 503 yards. They're gettable if you're hitting your long irons well. It's just very difficult to hit your long irons that well over and over and over. I even mentioned this on X, then I had to mute my notifications because I think it got picked up by the For You tab. But I mean, Michael Kim responded to it. He agreed with it, that when you're watching the main broadcast, they do a really good job of showing you, obviously, guys who are playing really well at the moment. So even when they cut away, they're cutting away to really good shots. It gives you the sense that like everyone is really good all the time on the PGA Tour, and they are. But when you start watching the alternate feeds, guys hit some really bad shots, like shockingly bad shots for what you consider, because like when you're watching it, guys are hitting it to 10 feet and they're making this putt and they're driving at 325 yards. It's not really the driving that gets you. There's some approach shots that guys just like thin and they slice off to the right, or it's just a dead pull. What they're so good at is not compounding their mistakes. And because they are so good, they can pull off these amazing shots that they can recover. That's what, us as, hell, like I play with a guy who's a +2 handicap. And like when you start playing with guys that good, they don't miss a ton, but when they miss, they miss big. They're just really good at recovering out of it. That's what pros are really good, beyond just the fantastic ball striking and putting on a regular basis. But you forget that these guys hit some pretty bad shots at the same time too, and you don't ever really see it on the main broadcast. Kevin Clark commented he was following around Scheffler at the Travelers 2 years ago, and he just watched Scheffler go like, bad shot into the bunker, terrible shot out of the bunker to another bunker, and then he was able to take his medicine, hit it to like 20 feet. Then he made a par putt from 20 feet because he's Scotty Scheffler. And these guys are good at doing that. But just the recovery shots and not compounding those mistakes is actually very helpful. It's very instructive to bad golfers as well, because you always want to hit that hero shot to get out of it because you just don't trust your game enough. But these guys, listen, they trust their game enough, but they still hit the bad shots. You're going to hit some bad shots too. And I think it would make the course seem more difficult to the average public if they showed a few of these shots from time to time and not buried them because they don't want them to go viral and make the golfers look bad. The golfers know what they're doing. They're fully aware of what's happening. They're out there. Anyone who's walked the course or been a volunteer at these courses over time, you just see some really bad shots. I think it was someone commented they were following, I forget who it was. It was either at the Players. It wasn't Sam Ryder, or maybe it was Lucas Glover. It was someone. It was just like, the guy was like dead set on hitting it over houses at one point. And just, eventually just walk off the course and be like, hey, I shot 78. If a pro shoots 78, they don't got it that day. It's not like you shooting a 78 where you're taking like phony drops and not walking back to the tee. Their 78s are bad for them. It's not quite like a good 78 from a 7 handicap type golfer type thing. Anyway, that's a little mini rant of going on here. I had something else I wanted to mention too. Now I totally forget what it was because I got thrown off track. Oh yeah, this is the last week to get yourself inside the top 50 for the official World Golf Rankings, which is hugely important because if you get yourself inside the top 50, you get to play at Augusta National if you're not already in. So there's a couple guys on the bubble right now. If we take a look at it, who do we have right here on the bubble? Well, Cantley's down to 35th in the world. That's wild. Like Sam Stevens, Pearson Cootie with a good week could get himself in. Rasmus Højgaard needs to play himself in, I believe, because I think he was not inside the top 50. Adam Scott obviously has like the lifetime exemption because he's the former winner. Harmon's in. Nikolai Højgaard, I think, needs to do some work to stay inside the top 50. That's probably why he's playing again. You've seen Wrighton drop off the face, but he was there after December, so he's in. Michael Brennan is in. Matt McCarty needs to stay there. Jake Knapp needs to stay there. But you have some guys who can play themselves. Like, I don't think that Fowler is in right now. He's 50th. He's in the field this week. So be interesting to see him play himself in. Grazerman needs to play himself in. Thorbjornsen needs to play himself in. Välimäki is there. He has fallen precipitously outside of the top 50 since he won the RSM. He's been horrible since playing at the RSM. Although he played really well at this tournament last year. Rasmus Nergaard Peterson, Taylor Pendrith, Wyndham Clark. Although Wyndham Clark's probably on his U.S. Open exemption. But these are just a bunch of guys. Nick Taylor's another one. I can't remember if he was 50th. I mean, I say I can't remember. His name is in front of me. I can click on his name to figure out what he's up to. Let's see. At the end of last year, no, he wasn't. He was, after the Nedbank, he went to go play himself in, and he only got himself, he actually dropped spots somehow. So yeah, he was outside of the top 50, so I don't think that he is in Augusta at the moment. I could be wrong on that. So maybe it is just Taylor and Connors and Weir right now inside of the Masters, but Harry Hall needs to do some work. Fowler needs to do some work. All these guys need to do a little bit of work to get themselves in. They're all in the field this week. Your only other chance to get in, if you do not get in after this week, is going to be winning Valero next week. That's not going to be a strong field. It's going to be like Spieth, Corey Connors, maybe some of the Euros. Maybe Fleetwood ends up playing. Sometimes you see some of the Euros sneak into that tournament. But either way. Last year, again, just all the that is round 1 from 2024. Round 1, the entire tournament from 2025. You can see you got Minwoo, Woodland, Scheffler, Välimäki, Rory, Toasty, Pendrith, Clark, into Gerard. Celinda put up a really nice run. I had Fox last year. Fox was in the final or second to last group. He's had a really bad Sunday, and he and Toasty had really bad Sundays, and that was the end of him. But he's another one, just super high ball speed, hits the ball a mile, very good around the greens from time to time. So when we return to the Pat Mayo experience, we are going to build out a model, research some more players, and see what it gives us. Stay tuned. Starting something new is terrifying. I remember right before launching this show thinking, what if no one listens? What if it completely flops? And that's something that has persisted every time that I hit record and go to edit a show, even as I'm recording this right now. It never goes away. But taking that leap ended up being one of the best decisions I ever made. And honestly, having something like Shopify back then would have made it a whole lot easier. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses. Whether you're just getting started or scaling up, you can build a clean, professional store with ready-to-use templates that actually match your brand. no coding headaches. And it's not just a storefront. Shopify's got built-in AI tools to help write product descriptions, improve your pages, even upgrade your images. Plus, you can run email and social campaigns right from the platform like you've got a full marketing team behind you. That would have been great like 15 years ago, not gonna lie to you. Best part, everything lives in one place. Inventory, payments, analytics, so you're not juggling 5 different tools to run your business. It's time to turn those what-ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/PatMayo. Go to shopify.com/PatMayo. That's shopify.com/PatMayo. Think you know ball? Prove it on Underdog and bet the bracket. Build a tourney bracket for free and see if you can outlast the rest for a shot at $100,000 in prizes. If you're a bracket bust, don't worry. You can turn your bets into real money all tourney long with prediction markets on Underdog. Available right now in most states like California, Texas, and Florida. Head to the Underdog app and put your bets to the test. With prediction markets, you can bet on money lines, spreads, and totals throughout the tournament, all in one place in real time. New markets drop every round from the opening tip to the final buzzer. So, if you love college hoops and think you know how each round will unfold, Underdog is where you make your bets. Download the Underdog app today and use promo code MAYO to get started. Prediction markets on Underdog. Available in your state. We're on the rabbit hole, betspertsgolf.com/Mayo to get yourself the discount. Does anyone know? Yeah, John ran a Houston Open model. Let's see what the old PGA tout is up to before we start anything to see what it generates. For him, we got Scotty Scheffler. Okay, that's good. Nikolai. Shooter Sean. Yella Miraju. He's back. High in ball speed, too. Let's see what good drive percentage, bogey avoidance. Oh, yeah, we got a ton of stuff in here. Let's see. Overall, 200 plus. All right, so there's a lot that we can dig into. He used a lot of filters on this. Maybe that's the way that you want to do it. But he had Scheffler, Nikolai, Yella Miraju, Adam Scott, Fowler, Thigala, Goddard, Griffin, Brooks, and Keith Mitchell inside the top 10. Into Gerard Hitsatsune, who's making a little bit of a run. He made a run with a -3 round Saturday at the Valspar. See if you can keep that going. Rogers, Minwoo, Rasmus, Kitayama, Clark, Bezadenhout. There's stupid Mac Meisner again with his terrible week. Hopefully he drops in the rankings after they put in his awful chipping performance at the Valspar. Knapp, Smotherman, Burns. Burns is interesting for here. I want to take a look into Burns for a moment just to see what he's been up to. It feels like nothing. But then, every now and then you take a look up. It's like, oh yeah, he hasn't been all that bad at all. He was pretty decent at the Players. It was all driving and all putting. He hasn't been positive on approach play since he was T6 at Pebble Beach, which is not a similar type of approach play as we're going to find this week. There was another angle that I wanted to take here for finding guys a bit more down the list. I was going to sort by, we're going to do this first. It's the first thing I want to do, and we're going to take a look back at the past 2 years. Because I found with Vedanta, there was just a couple courses off the top of my head. It was TPC Craig Ranch. So loading Craig Ranch. Now, a lot of guys outside of Scotty Scheffler really don't play these tournaments. Torrey Pine South, Vedanta Vallarta for the Old Mexico Open, which is now a part of the swing season. The other ones we're going to go to are Detroit GC, and then it was this one, where it's just big driver-heavy courses where you kind of spray it wherever you want. And just take a look at some of the guys that have done well in those events. Shockingly, Scotty Scheffler has done very well in those events. I'm not super stunned by that. Let's turn off the salary, give us some more room here. So who else has done well? Haotong, Chris Kirk. Potgieter's really interesting because I have no idea what his odds are going to be. But he fits everything that you want at this tournament really, really well. It's just he's so wildly inconsistent. You have no idea what he's going to get up to from a week-to-week basis. He can't chip. So that is a problem. That might be the disqualifying factor from him. Like, he can't putt until the weeks where he putts a ton. Obviously, the driving is usually really good, and this is a spot where he can go full bombs away, so I'm not worried about him there. But you can see, where has he gained on approach so far this season? Well, it was at Torrey Pine South. in his one round at the Farmers Insurance Open, and it was at Genesis. The two longer courses that we've played this year. He was terrible at a longer course at Bay Hill, but a bit of a different scenario. You got water everywhere. It's not necessarily a, hey, I can bomb it to wherever I want type course. A lot thicker rough at Bay Hill this year than it was at Riv and as it was at the Farmer. So I thought that was somewhat interesting. Probably a guy, if at the right odds, I'm going to take a few stabs at. So Chris Kirk, that's a lot because of Detroit. What am I looking at here? Last 2 years? Really? And that's all we're getting up. Aaron Rye has played this run of courses pretty well. So has Finau. Finau is a former champion at this course. Jake Knapp has played all of these really well. Obviously, we're all going to really like Jake Knapp this week because this is a perfect Jake Knapp course. And the way that he's been playing this year outside of his Players' Championship, just debacle where he was horrible, he's been playing some excellent golf. And it's been around the green. The putter is still great. The putter was still even great at the Players. He gained 6 strokes putting in 2 rounds and couldn't make the cut. That's how bad the rest of his game was. Hopefully this back injury that he sustained that had him withdraw from Bay Hill is better now. Maybe we'll get Keith to see if he can text someone on the range for us this week to see if he can take a look at Jake Knapp and whether or not he's hitting the ball well back to normal, because the past few events the off the tee has been off, which is not something really for him that you would think of at all. But he's made a run at the Byron Nelson. He's won in Mexico. He's made a run at the Byron Nelson. He ended up coming in second at the CJ Cup, and I believe last year at the Houston, he was T27 mainly. He gained across the board except for around the greens. So he's going to be price sensitive to me. I don't want to bet Jake Knapp at 30-1, but with Scheffler in the field, we might get some better odds on that. So those were the guys that play it pretty well. You see Minwoo. There's Brian Campbell after going 3 in the water. Had a bad neck. He had Roxbury syndrome. Had to take the rest of the week off by sitting out of the player. So I'm just going to throw this one in just to find some guys from the lower end. So this is going to be total what I'm calling comp courses. We're going to throw that into the model, and then we're going to reset everything. We're going to go to past 6 months, and we're going to we'll go to past 9 months to get the end of last year as well. We'll reset the courses, and we're going to go to miscellaneous stats, and we're going to heavily overweight ball speed. So here are the guys who are the best ball speed players on tour this season. Potgeeter, number 1, Gordon Sargent, who actually made a bit of a run in Puerto Rico a few weeks back. I don't know if I'd necessarily count on him to do too much because it's been a very bad year for old Sergeant Gordon. But someone who's played at U.S. Open pretty well, plays longer courses pretty well, but you can see just the approach play has been so bad. Then he had his T8 coming off of 5 consecutive missed cuts. Maybe he's playing better on the Korn Ferry Tour. I don't even know if he's playing on the Korn Ferry Tour at all. Let's see. Search up some old Sergeant Gordon here. Gordon Sargent. No, he has not been playing on the Korn Ferry Tour. He's only playing exclusively on the PGA Tour, where he misses the cut every week, except for a random T8 at the Puerto Rico Open. So probably not necessarily the example of the type of guy that you want to go to here, because he doesn't do anything besides drive the ball. But guys still need to do other things at the same time if we want to take him this week. So back to the ball speed. So both Højgaards, Michael Brennan. I wish Brennan was better at other things. Lamprecht, probably not super interesting. Penge, there's my guy. Woodland, Nat, Minwoo, Goddard should be a very good Goddard course. If we catch a 25 or more on Goddard, I might end up going there. Kitayama, Yella Miraju, Toasty, if Johnny Kiefer could chip and or putt, that would be so nice. Pearson Coody is another one. So guys, you can take a look at this week. I think that Adrian Dumont de Chassail is playing better golf right now, and still very high in ball speed. You see Pontus Nyholm. We're going to take a deeper look into him. You see, hell, there's Trey Mullenix. Mullenix, he lost me a big wager at this course by coming in second. Cashes each way. That was the year that everyone hit Landry. And I don't even think it was at this course. I think it was at the old course. But still, very high in ball speed. Put in a good run here 2 years ago or last year. Brooks, Pendrith, Fox. These are all the names that I basically listed off that leaderboard from last year. There's Celinda. Celinda was up there as well. So the two names that you probably won't hear much. Luke Clanton, maybe he's just been really bad. And we're going to take a deep dive on all these guys to see which ones we want. Mason Howell is the other one. I don't really know anything about Mason Howell. Let's take a look and see what Mason Howell has been up to. He gains off the tee. He has a ton of ball speed. He actually gained on approach at the RSM Classic. I don't know who this guy is. He's got to be an amateur. It's the only thing that I can think of. Maybe he's like a Texas amateur. Type in, let's Google some Mason Howell. See what we can find. Mace is on the case. It's a Mace. He kind of looks like Victor Hovland with his pink hat and squinty eyes. Looks stoned out of his mind. Mace Harlem World. Nope. He won the 2015 U.S. Amateur, becoming the 3rd youngest winner in the history. Okay. This is good to know. So he must be in the Masters in 2 weeks' time. Okay, even more stuff that we can do. So he is currently 18 years old, one of the higher ball speeds in the field, and won the U.S. Amateur? Yeah, let's go. Let's go with Mason Howell this week. Now, I have no idea what his odds are going to be, but I think that's somewhat interesting to take a look at. From down the board, especially DraftKings-wise, if dude's like $6,500, why not? So we're taking a look at Christo Lamprecht right now. He has been really terrible. Can't chip, can't putt, can't hit irons. All right, we're going to take a pass on him. Kurt Kitayama let me down big time at the Players' Championship. He had been running a really hot putter before that, though. The around the green came back a little bit. He lost over 5 strokes in 2 rounds. But the off the tee was bad. The approach game was sizzling, though. So this is not what I hate to see. Like, this is... The around the green is somewhat troubling. I will concede that. However, the putting can more than make up for it. The off the tee and approach play is really good. Has he played Houston? This seems like a perfect course for him. The last 2 years, he was bad on approach last year and pretty poor on the greens. The year before that, he ball struck the shit out of the ball. He's been top 40 both times. Hasn't got his entire game on the same page, but he has not had as good a form coming in. So we'll shortlist Kitayama. And again, all going to be price sensitive. Shooter Sean Yalamaraju withdrew from the Valspar after cashing his biggest payday of his career at the Players' Championship. But as you can see, very high in ball speed, very good on approach. He's gained on approach in every tournament this year except the Farmers, which is the one that had the longest approaches. So keep that in mind. The putter's been sizzling, not very good around the greens, but the driver, the approach play, all very good. The putter's been hot. Again, if they want to give him, they want to give us Yalamaraju at 40-1, like no one's going to bet that. But if they do want to hang like an 80, a 90, 100-1 on him, then yeah, I can see getting behind that. Johnny Kiefer, this should be a good course for him, but again, just the around the green play is so abysmal, and now his like approach play has been getting even worse, and I think he was like just as bad at the Valspar. We can take a look. You can always use the live leaderboard tab and see how everyone did for the week. Yeah, plus 14. Okay, great week. Thanks for showing up there, Johnny Kiefer. Let's see what the total of his 2 rounds. Lost 5.5 strokes on approach. Did gain off the tee, so good for him. Lost 5 strokes around the green and 3 strokes putting in 2 rounds. That is brutal. You can't go back to him after that. Although, while we're here, we should probably take a look at some guys that maybe we can go to for the week. We can take a look at their total. Let's just take a look at tee to green in general. So not a big surprise that Fitz is leading everyone tee to green because he does that almost every single week at this point. Okay, so this is super interesting. Novak is second tee to green of all players. He's T59 because he's lost 7.5 strokes putting. I did not expect to see Andrew Novak up on that list. His approach play, I mean, he's having a bad year. Friend of the show, Andrew Novak, too. So we wish the best for him. He's been cut in T53 at the Houston Open over the past 2 years. He was pretty good ball striking wise 2 years ago, then lost a bunch last year, and then rebounded the following week and contended for the title at the Valero. Maybe Valero is the better spot to look at Andrew Novak if his tee to green is popping back up. Woodland, who putted the lights out in Houston a year ago, is third tee to green and is losing it all putting. His tee to green just overall is very good. Jordan Smith, who I have no idea if Jordan Smith is in the field for Houston or not. I don't think that he is. Oh, he is. He is in the field. And he is, let's see here. In terms of ball speed, he is 178. That's just behind like Thorbjornsen, pretty much behind Johnny Kiefer. But above average, so maybe not a terrible look with Jordan Smith. Has been trending upwards a little bit more over the past month or so as the tee to green game has been getting a little bit better. You can see Jordan Smith, maybe he's just getting acclimated to playing on the PGA Tour after playing in Europe all of those years. But taking a look at what he's been up to, he was bad at the Players' Championship. Sometimes guys are just bad at the Players. But the Farmers, great approach play, pretty good approach play in Phoenix, pretty good at the Cog as well. The around the green has been really bad outside of the Cognizant Classic. The putter's been hot and cold. The driver's usually pretty good. So again, someone from farther down the list that maybe you can take a shot on. Adrien Dumont de Chassel. Up there again. The ball striking that's really interesting because he's gained 7 strokes. He's gained 5.7 strokes tee to green despite 0.05 gained off the tee, -2 on approach, +7 around the green. You don't see that very often. Hoey, his around the green play, he's chipped in like 2 or 3 times, so that's very helpful. Finau's been terrible off the tee, but good chipping, good approach play. Griot's been good across the board. Smalley's been good except for his driving. Gim has been just good across the board. There's John Perry. Rasmus Niergaard Peterson's losing a ton, chipping and putting, but the ball striking has been amazing. We saw him pop up on that ball speed list. Do not hate going to him. Ditto for Marco Penge. He's up there. The driving, he's -8. He's tied for 4th place right now, so we're probably going to lose a bit of a number unless he takes a step back. Brooks's driving has really got the worst of him this week, but the approach play is still, is that best in the field? No, Fitzpatrick's probably the best. Fitz, Smalley, Brooks, Sungjae, Damon are your top 5. And then there's Celinda. I mean, Celinda's been done in by his putting. You're going to get Celinda at like 120, 150 to 1 at Open. You see AJ Ewart, my guy, if he could just drive the ball at all, -3 driving, +3 on approach. That'd be a lot better for him. But he's not someone that you probably want to tackle this week. Let's see if we can actually get to ball speed. I know it's a less than driver course, so we're not going to see as much from some of these guys. But this week, so Woodland, 190 ball speed. Gordon Sargent, both of the Højgaards. Jesper Svensson is very high on that list. There's Penge, there's Toasty, there's Brennan, Kiefer, Wyndham Clark again. Another one you can go to, Pearson Coody, Luke Clanton, Matty Schmidt. Matty Schmidt's interesting. Pontus Nyholm, he got cut. All these guys for next week. Jimmy Stanger, there's Celinda, there's Jaeger, another former. So you see, there's Finau, Celinda, and Jaeger. I mean, 2 of those guys have won at Memorial Park in the past. Taylor Moore has a runner-up finish there. He's back up there. Pendrith we saw inside the top 10 a year ago. He's still right around 180 ball speed. So these are the guys that you want to be targeting for next week if they're in the field. Toasty's a tough sell, although he is... Let's see here. He is -4 through 9 holes overall. So he's currently in 11th place. So yeah, fire up the Toasty first round leader once again for this week or for next week, because that's where we need to end up going. There's Jordan Smith. Let's take a look at Matty Schmidt, see what he's been up to. He has contended in Texas, albeit at a very short course, at Colonial a year ago before he lost to Ben Griffin. It's been up and down for him, but he did have back-to-back top 10 finishes at the COG and Puerto Rico before making the cut at the Players' Championship, just not being very good at the Players' Championship. Again, a lot of guys not very good at the Players' Championship. Currently in 61st place, not a whole lot going right for Matty Schmidt at the Valspar Championship. Who are we on here? That was Novak. Now we're into Wyndham Clark. We'll see how he's done. Obviously, he was top 10 at this venue a year ago. He was T5, and he was T31 the year before that. T16 the year before that. Has done very good around the greens, on the greens. Has these greens pretty much figured out. Been great off the tee. Obviously, he missed the cut on the number this week at Valspar, but that can present a potentially pretty interesting buying opportunity on someone like Wyndham Clark. We saw that the ball speed wasn't an issue for him. Let's find out what the issue was for Wyndham Clark this week. Approach play, great. Off the tee, great. Couldn't chip, couldn't putt. Okay, I'm fine with that. If this is the profile he wants to have coming in, as long as we get good odds on Wyndham Clark, I'm ready to buy back in here on this course in particular, especially if the putter can continue to do as well as it's done in the past at this venue, because he's been riding a very cold putter recently, and he does have a brand new caddy, so maybe it'll help him figure out the greens a little bit more. But the chipping has been there, the approach has been there, and where he can go bombs away off this tee, don't mind that at all. But take a look at Pearson Coody. He's been bad at the API. He was bad at the Players' Championship. Maybe just not a Florida golfer. Who knows? Although he's doing pretty well at the Valspar Championship at the moment. He's tied for 50th. His approach play has been really good. His chipping has been piss poor at the Valspar. And that comes and goes for him, and it has so far. But maybe the Bermuda grass that you see in Florida just doesn't mesh with what he's doing. He's from Texas. This should work out a little bit better for him. And overall, he's not good around the greens, but generally he's not this bad around the greens. His driver is coming back to where it needs to be. And if he can get back to some of this early season play, he's more than live at a Texas event. So another shortlisted guy. We'll see Adrien Dumont de Chassel from Belgium, the Belgian bummer, huh? Can't chip and putt his way the entire week. He's going to have some ball striking. However, previous to this week at the Valspar, it's been off and on, but we saw that the ball speed is very high and the approach play had been pretty good. Maybe if he wants to match a putter to that, all of a sudden we're not doing so bad. He was 81st here last year, made the cut and imploded on the weekend. Pontus Nyholm, the Swede, who has come over and was just really horrendous through his first few starts. As you can see, he was cut in his first 4 events, then back-to-back top 20s, both at the COG and in Puerto Rico. See how old Nyholm was this week. He missed the cut +3, mainly due to chipping and putting, was positive off the tee and on approach. So maybe not someone to completely overlook. Again, we'll see how he plays in Texas. Not a priority by any means, but someone whose numbers might be better than maybe they seem. Clanton, he's just been bad. He was good in Puerto Rico, and that's been it for him so far this season. You just really hope that he gets his shit together. He was +11 at the Valspar. Not something you really want to see. We already did the Mason Howell deep dive. I think that's everyone that we needed to look at. And we even took a look at Johnny Kiefer. So, okay, let's go back to the main page of the rabbit hole and start to figure more of this out. So we're going to throw in ball speed. Obviously, I'm going to weight it a ton. And then I'll probably go through and take a look at some of the other, ball speed. We're going to add that in. If you want to know who the worst ball speed guys in the field are, Brian Campbell, no shocker there. Bezadenhout, Glover, Lipsky. A lot of the guys, weirdly, Chandler Blanchet, although Rye has played well at this course. A lot of the guys that are doing really well at the Valspar right now are some of the lower ball speed guys. I wonder where Sungjae would rate out on this list if we take a look at him. Let's see. Let's go to the live leaderboard and see where Sungjae sits on the old ball speed tab. Sungjae, his ball speed is 175 for the week. That's actually like pretty average. Davis Chatfield is 150. That's like my ball speed. Come on, pal. Figure it out. Let's see. Sungjae would be right around the middle area with like the Harris Englishes and the Thegalas of the world, the Ryan Gerards. Just very good, consistent ball speed, good flow. There's Michael Kim, Ewart, Meisner. There's Sungjae right there. There's Shane Lowry. So just taking a look at, I guess Sungjae's in the field next week too. I guess if he wins, he might not end up playing. So we've thrown 2 things so far, the comp course, and we've thrown in just overall ball speed. We're going to take a look at the past 3 months, and we're going to call strokes gained total recent form, and we're going to chuck that into the modeling as well. Now, I want to go back to the course page once again, just to get a better sense of some of this approach play, because I already pointed out it's the 6th longest approach proximity on tour left from the hole. So 41 feet from the hole is your average, and we can take a look at the average shot distribution on the rabbit hole to find out where all these shots are coming from. So 150 to 175 comes in at 21.5% as your average, although it trended way down last year. There were fewer shots from that range than normal. You had 19.9 as your average percentage, so that was right around tour average. So if we go to 175 to 200 total, you'll see that is slightly higher than your PGA Tour average at 21%. Then we get to 200 plus shots. So your PGA Tour average, that's from the rough, we want total is around 23%. You got 25% here, although almost double the amount from the rough. Easy to hit out of the rough from this spot, but from most courses, you're going to get 4% of your shots from beyond 200 yards in the rough. Here you get right around 8%, 9.5%, 10% in some of the years. So that's somewhat interesting to take a look at, that you're going to have to rely on some of these longer irons. The other things that under index here, you see 150 to 125 yard shots, only 14% versus the 21% that you normally see. In a few more, at least last year, it's funny, it's like guys hit the ball farther last year, so it upped the index on a lot of these things from previous years. So you see the 125 to 150 bucket was actually 20% of the strokes in 2025 versus the 16% that you see on tour, or the 15 that it was the year before that, which bumped down it's almost perfectly like 1 for 1 here. You saw in 2024, 150 to 175 saw 23% of the shots and 15% of the shots from 125 to 150. Last year, that got bumped down to 19%, and this got bumped up to 20%. So guys were simply hitting it farther off the tee. Let's take a look at the off the tee and see if that reflects in the driving distance. And it didn't at all, actually. It was longer in 2024 than it was in 2025. That's really interesting to think about. And driver usage was almost exactly the same, 82.8% to 82.9%, which was up from each of the previous 2 years. So the last 2 years, the guys have had the bomb and gouge type mentality, maybe because the field was stronger last year, that they were just better players and got it into better positions and got it closer to the hole. That would be my guess at an explanation for that. Good drive percentage was very high here as well, over PGA Tour average a year ago. So guys were hitting greens in regulation. Lag putting came into play. We'll see some scoring numbers. Birdie or better percentage. It was right at tour average after being way down before that. It was 17% or lower each of the first 4 years at this course. Last year, it popped up to 20.9%. You can see the scoring average. The first time it was below 70. So it was way easier a year ago. Wind can affect this course to a massive amount, especially with fewer trees can become really exposed. That wasn't really that big of an issue a year ago. Like I said, the max was right around 18 miles per hour. It's not looking outside of Saturday right now, and I'll have all of this information in the column, and I'll have the link to the wind tower. You can go sub to that for free down in the description right now, the Mayo Media newsletter on Substack. But I don't know if it's going to, that's a really interesting conundrum this week. Maybe I'll ask Blickle, and I'll give that as a research assignment for him of, why did it play so much easier a year ago than it had in previous years? Was it those trees being down? Was it a stronger field? Was it less wind? Was it just an outlier? And it's just 4 random rounds of golf. That's always very interesting to figure out, because if you can, and you're never going to know in advance what the answer to that question is going to be, but if you can really construct a good hypothesis of why something is, and you end up being right. And obviously, you're not going to be right probably even half the time, probably a lot lower than that. But the times that you are right and you can gear everything around that, then all of a sudden you can have a huge advantage, be it in betting, DFS, underdog drafts, doesn't matter what it is. Once you can find those slight little edges and tilt them in your favor and push all in on it, that's what I'm doing with ball speed this week. And now that I've said it on the show, I know that other people are going to follow me. I might be dead wrong on that. So just always think about that. Think about where you think that you have an angle. When you think you have an angle, listen, you're going to lose most weeks anyway, especially on DraftKings. That go with the angle that you think is correct, because the week that you are right and no one else is thinking what you're thinking, it's going to pay off in a big way, is what I'll say to that. So we want to put strokes gained approach in, and we'll put in 3 separate areas. We'll just throw in just approach in general so far this year, approach 2026. That's nice. We'll throw that in, and we'll throw in around the green. We'll go longer around the green because we're going to put in 2. You know, we'll do around the green this year, around the green 2026. But the other one that we can throw in, as I was talking about, those shaved off surfaces. So you can go to around the green shot types. And you can get scrambling from the rough, and you can get scrambling from wherever else you want to get scrambling from. But what we want to go is around the green short grass. That is where you're seeing the shots this year. And we're going to go to past 12 months and just see scrambling percentage. We'll see around the green short shot percentage. You can get whatever it is that you want to get. So scrambling percentage from the short grass. Some guys have a lot. Some guys don't have a lot. We'll see Haotong, Kanaya, Marty Doe, Zach Baushu, Ricky Fowler, Nikolai Højgaard, very good from these type of surfaces versus around the rough where he's bad. So scrambling from the rough, Nikolai is bad. Scrambling from the short grass, in around the green shots, mind you, is very, very good. So these are different guys. Yella Miraju, another one who takes a big step up. Kitayama takes a big step up. Ben Griffin, Jason Day, Jake Knapp. Jake Knapp's just been very good around the greens in general over the past little bit. And some of these guys are really bad in the sand, like Nikolai, bad from the sand. Yella Miraju, bad from the sand. Negative on those, but positive from scrambling from the short grass. Now, Yella Mirage, Bronson Burgoon is in the field. The Goonies. Hey, you guys. Oh, my God. What a throwback. Bronson Burgoon. However, with 2/3 of the shot coming from shaved off surfaces here, rather than the deep rough. And again, even the rough here is so short, you can spin it from the rough. So just focusing on scrambling from the short grass over sand where there basically is no sand, very little thick rough, mainly shaved off surfaces. These are some of the ones you can go to. I'm actually shocked Scotty's not up higher on this list. Maybe he's had a few bad goes. Even Penge, someone that we're targeting this week. David Ford, better around the green in this area. Ditto for Pearson Coody, who's just significantly better from scrambling on the short grass. And he actually has a big sample, 165 shots for him, 150 for David Ford, 224 for Takumi Kanaya. But Højgaard and Yella Miraju in particular, and Goddard is another one who struggles from scrambling from the rough, better at scrambling from the short grass. This would make perfect sense for Goddard, who's been great on TGL, where that's all short grass, and even at his Scottish Open win and at the Open Championship last year. Most of that is shaved off surfaces. It's not like the thick rough you're getting over in Scotland. It's you have to know how to play off of that surface, and those are probably just going to be 3 bets for me right away. Højgaard, Goddard, Yella Miraju, boom, let's go. Maybe Haotong can get up there, but I wanted to match the ball speed to go along with those guys. But we're going to throw that in. Around the group, who's bad? Oh, Mason Howell. I mean, he's only hit 12 shots from there, so maybe we can give him a pass. Brooks has just been bad around the greens in general in all of his shots, so that's going to bury him in this if we weight it too much. Around the green, short grass. And again, we're taking some different angles this week. So we have the around the green game taken over. We have ball speed. Ball speed is what we're going to substitute in this week for for off the tee and driving distance. I'm only going to be concerned about ball speed this week and just see how that ends up working out for me. So we want to go to approach scoring opportunities. So this is our old, from Fantasy National, our old opportunities gained metric, but it's for inside 5, 10, and 15 feet percentage from all of the different ranges. Maybe we don't need to take that big of a look at it, but let's take a look at 200 plus, or maybe even 176 to 200. And we'll go inside 15 feet. Just to take a, we're not going to weight it a ton. 175, 200, inside 15 feet. We'll chuck that one in, and then we'll go to overall proximity. Hell, you know what? Let's try it again from the 200 as well. So 200 plus inside 15 feet. Guys that on some of these longer par 4s and par 5s are able to generate some of these opportunities. I don't know really what else to throw in. Bogey avoidance might be good. The other thing that we can look at is we'll go past 18 months. We'll go to actual filters here, and we'll take long to very long courses, and we'll go average, difficult, very difficult. We're not going to throw very difficult onto that list. We're going to go average and difficult to see if this gives us enough of a filter. If it doesn't, we start taking a look at the amount of rounds that guys have played. We're going to go back to overall strokes gained, like 5 rounds. Yeah, that's not enough for me. Let's turn off average to difficult. We'll go long and very long courses. And now see what we have. So yeah, Scotty Scheffler's played 52 of these. Haotong has only played so many. Haotong just keeps popping up on all of these lists for longer courses. I wish he played better golf. That would be very helpful. That, when I bet on him, it ends up being a little bit better. Chandler Blanchet, look at him. Top 5. A lot of that has to do with Puerto Rico because we're not focusing on difficult or easy courses, just long courses. So Puerto Rico would fit that list. So the answer to this is for SG long courses. Scotty's number 1, as he should be. Scotty, Haotong, Kitayama. So maybe Kitayama joins that list as well. Keith Mitchell, Chandler Blanchet, Kevin Roy, Sexy Roy, Harry Hall, Coody, Fowler, Knapp, Griffin, Rasmus Nergaard Peterson, Thorbjorn Olesen, Harris English, Vince Whaley, Wrighton, Woodland, Brennan, Gerard, Goddard, Aaron Rye, Ryan Fox. So a lot of the similar names, Adam Scott and Kevin Yu. Kevin Yu showed some life on Saturday at the Players for the first time all year. Do not hate Kevin Yu at all. He is Mr. Luke List profile. If you ever wanted to find someone, his around the green is probably too bad to truly contend at this spot, but take a look here. It wasn't bad at the Cog or Genesis. His putting has just been such a disaster, but in Houston, he was T18 last year, did everything besides putt. We'll take a look at how he did this week. I mean, obviously, he's only through so much of his Sunday round. If he started at all, he has not started at all. He comes into the day in 11th place, and it's all kind of everything besides his off the tee is working for him this week, which is a good sign for him because he can go full bore driver at this course. One of the better drivers out there. Has not been as good this year, but you can see if he's starting to come back to the form that he had last year, like every week, stroke per round, essentially off the tee. He's been nowhere near that so far. It's like he's got a bit of the yips, but the fact that he's turned the corner now, he's made a cut, He's inside the top 15 heading into a Sunday at a tournament in 2026. That is only his second cut made since the Bank of Utah when he was actually playing. I think I bet him at the Bank of Utah and probably bet him at the Worldwide. That started his awful streak of missing cuts. Missed 4 in a row. There was no cut at Pebble Beach, so he made it there and came second to last in the field, then was cut 3 more times. His game has started to come back a little bit. You can see all the red on the screen right now for Kevin Yu, but he's someone that we know he can score. I have some dead best ball teams that are like with him on the outside looking in, like maybe if I just played a little bit better, these ones could have got through. Maybe that's a show I can do, is the major season best ball drafts are now available in the Underdog lobby. If you want to take a stab at those, the Albatross is the big one. I like the season-long one better, but I will be getting teams into that. Maybe I can invite someone on to do a breakdown of those and see if there's money to be had. There's always money in the banana stand. We'll see if there's money to be had in the Albatross on Underdog. Code Mayo on Underdog if you're looking for that kind of thing. Let's create a model now. All right, so here are all the things that we loaded in. We'll call this Houston Show Mayo. If you're ever looking for it on the rabbit hole, that expert report tab, you will be able to find this one because I will save it as an expert report. So strokes gained total on the comp courses, we'll just throw that in 5. Ball speed, 25. 20. We'll go 20. We don't do it too crazy here. Strokes gained total, recent form, we'll throw that at 15. Always got to lean on some recent form. So approach 10. And those 2 longer approaches, we'll throw 10 in each for those. Probably should have put putting in here somewhere. So around the green in general, we'll put it 10. And then scrambling from that short grass, we'll put in at 5. And then at longer courses, we'll go 10. That gives us, what can we throw an extra 5 in on something? You know what? We'll throw an extra 5 in on recent form. If we don't like that, we can go back and adjust to ball speed. All right, let's take a look at the rankings. Goddard, Knapp, Scheffler, Nikolai, Minwoo, Adam Scott, Kurt Kitayama, Theegala, Brooks, Pierce, and Cootie. That's the top 10, which falls completely in line with exactly with what we looked at throughout the course of the show. We were on Goddard, Nikolai, Yella Miraju, Cootie, and Kitayama were kind of the big 5 that popped up outside of the Scotty Scheffler tier. Obviously, Minwoo was the winner last year. Going down past that, Fox, Gerard, Rogers, Keith Mitchell, Wyndham Clark was another one that we looked at. Pendrith was another one that we looked at and dug into their stats a little bit. Thorbjornsen's there. Adrian Dumont de Chassel pops up on the list again. Yella Miraju is number 34, and a lot of that, frankly, is just due to lack of rounds. I'm surprised Celinda didn't make this list any higher. Obviously, you can jump around, hit the time codes, and go to the in-depth player research. He comes in 76th on this list. I still like Celinda a lot, having a pretty good week at the Valspar as well. Good run in this tournament a year ago. But again, if we're sorting by ball speed, which we want to do this week, at least I hope we want to do this week, because that's what I'm looking at a lot. Potgieter would be the other one that you want to go look at and just hope it's one of those weeks where the rest of his game kind of shows up along with the driver, and obviously Marco Penge. Hopefully he gets buried in a lot of optimizers and everything, because he is someone that you're going to want to use and bet at the Houston Open this week. The odds, let's figure out what the odds are going to be here. So trying to reverse engineer this in my mind of really what we're looking at. Scheffler's going to be the favorite. I believe he ended up at plus 450 at the Players' Championship because not a lot of people were betting Scotty. Obviously, he didn't have a great week. What is he going to come into in this field, which is strong, but not too strong? I'm going to guess he opens at 3-1. After that, I have a tough time figuring out who the next guy is going to be on the list, honest to God. Let's see here. Let's go to the top. It's Minwoo, maybe it's Goddard, Burns, Kitayama. Maybe we're not going to get a good number on any of these guys. And Goddard ends up starting out at 18-1. Like, I could not peg exactly who is going to be second on this odds board. It probably ends up being, probably Sam Burns, honestly, or Minwoo. At this point, they're probably going to be 2 and 3. Then you're going to have Nikolai. Then you're going to have Goddard. Ben Griffin continues to persist at the top of this. Brooks probably ends up sub 30-1, 25-1, being that he is a course redesign specialist along with Tom Doak at this course. So maybe we won't get as good of a number on some of these guys as maybe I expected, thinking through logically. You got Scotty and then the rest. But even if it's got her up at 22, I'm probably still pretty good with this because this is a perfect type of course for him. I would even try to take a look at last year's Scottish Open to find some more names that populate that list. I know that Gotterup won. Scotty couldn't putt that week, but still finished inside the top 10. Rory was second. Rory was top 5 here a year ago. Obviously, Scheffler finished back-to-back top twos. He was runner-up here 2 years in a row. Who was the other one that was up there? It was Gotterup. Penge was the other one who was up there. So I think Smalley has played that tournament pretty well over the years. So again, shaved off surfaces around the green, unique green complexes like we're going to see in Houston, but match that up with some ball speed, and you could be good to go. All right. Again, if you got an idea for a new show for Masters Week, dump that in the comment section. Give me your favorite lean to kick things off. Smash like, sub to the channel while you're here, and you will catch me back on Monday with Feinberg, making the bets, talking through the field, and recapping the week, including a big week for Liv in South Africa. I'll see you then.
Mayo Experience! Experience!